Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to get into episode 4 of volume 5 of my scrapbooks. We are well into the Belladonna scrapbook, and I'm going to start off with a really great newspaper article that I found from the St. Petersburg Times dated October 7th, 1981. The article was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It was a review of them in concert with Joe Ely and special guest Stevie Nicks at the Bayfront Center performance in Gainesville. So it seems like it's got a 4-star rating, and it was a pretty good review of with the addition of Stevie, because not always were the reviews well when Stevie Nicks came and joined Tom on stage. But what was everything was this picture of Stevie. Really great shot of Stevie that went with the newspaper article, which I feel kind of bad because here it is, a Tom Petty review, but they add that picture of Stevie. There's no pictures of Tom Petty in this review, but it's a really good picture of Stevie. This was a Winco buy from a long time ago, a really great, another Belladonna outtake. What girl didn't want this in the 80s? Those feathered, remember in the 80s, dating myself more, the little hair clips that you would braid, and then it had all the strings. Yeah. Anyway, I always wanted one with beads. I never made one like that, but yeah, love this thing. Yeah, like I said, a very favorable review, and then additionally, there is a little, possibly a Rolling Stone article with, it says Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers found themselves embroiled in yet another controversy to find MCA's proposed $9.98 list price. The band won, and the record went platinum with an $8.98 price tag. The California end of the Heartbreakers' Hard Promises tour found Petty and Stevie Nicks performing "Stop Dragging My Heart Around," the duet which appears on Nicks's LP. The Heartbreakers also had a busy year in the studio, laying down tracks for Nicks and for Del Shannon's comeback album, "Drop Down and Get Me," produced by Tom Petty. This year found 3 of Fleetwood Mac members releasing solo albums. The most successful was Stevie Nicks' Belladonna, still hovering in the top 10 4 months after being issued. The always unpredictable Lindsey Buckingham put out Law and Order, which has so far yielded the hit single Trouble, and drummer Mick Fleetwood traveled to the African nation of Ghana to record The Visitor, a critically acclaimed combination of rock and roll and African rhythms. So that was a cool little piece about everybody. Had Tom, Stevie, Lindsey, everybody in there. Cool little article. Continuing on with yet another, I think this was a Stevie review. Nope, just an article on her. I thought it was a concert review. Just an article. And these, I'm not sure where I got these from. These are different for sure. They're not very clear, which leads me to think it could possibly have been from not a friend's, but a girl whose scrapbook, I think I mentioned her in the last video or the next to last video, scrapbook that a girl had. I just don't remember. But they're the only copies I have of them, so I included them in there. This is a little bit different outfit than was worn in some of the other ones. Maybe it's the same outfit, but she just has the cape on. So, but those were kind of unique that all went well with the thing, with the page. Not the thing, the page. This is really cool. This was an early find. This is an early page again with a ribbon and rhinestones, and so clever, but this is really cool. I thought this was really neat to see this from my neck of the woods. Of course, had I known in 1981, I would have died to have gone there. But this is Stevie Nicks, December 3rd, 1981 at the Oakland Coliseum. Tickets were $9.50. My, how the times have changed. Reserve seating was $10.50. So, yeah, it was just cool to find this. And, I have a couple of these. I have one for the Wild Heart, which is kind of a funny story. But this is just a really neat find from a Bay Area magazine, or the newspaper probably. Yeah, and especially it's personal to me because I'm from the Bay Area. But this was a review, and probably not a good one. No, Michael Goldberg, he was okay. And this was actually a review of that show in the Bay Area. And this is from the San Francisco Chronicle date book, which was what we would call the pink section. This guy might have reviewed pretty well, but there's one guy whose name I forget, and not on purpose. Normally I do remember it, but he was a real pig. Just really, really gave Stevie shitty, awful reviews. Just no matter what. He couldn't find a nice word to say. And, you know, you can not like her. That's fine. But there's just no need for some of the things he had said about Stevie in the past, with Fleetwood Mac or without, but especially on her own. Things that today, in this day and age, you wouldn't get away with saying, for sure. But yeah, this was a pretty nice review and great picture to go with the article. Some other, these ones were definitely ones received from that scrapbook. I'm sure of it, because they're awful, except for this one, which is a real photograph. This one's a real photograph of these. You can kind of see how they're scratched and boogered up a little bit. But these were from that scrapbook, that lady's scrapbook. And it was a real bummer. It's, you know, she said, I don't even think it was on eBay. I think I found it some other way. I don't remember. And she said a lot of the things were copies. But, you know, I saw some of the pictures on there and I'm like, you know, foaming at the mouth, hoping that they weren't, but it's still delightful to have. Just grateful at all. And then, of course, we have the always adorable Mary Tory. Such a doll. And her as well down here too. Robin and Mary down here. These are just beautiful, these pictures. And this was its own article. This is one article here, and then this is a separate article here. Yet another, this is definitely a review of Stevie at the Wilshire. So this is from that, the 4 sold out nights, and one of the, well, I think they combined the White Winged Dove HBO special from all 4 nights, but really cool pictures from that, with that article. And cool to have a review directly from that show. Then this was something I found in a magazine, and I just thought it was funny because this is this tambourine and the kind that Stevie uses. So I thought that was kind of a cool ad to have. This was a peculiar, I think I posted this or talked about it in maybe one of my pop-up videos, but this is a postcard, but it's a, you know, obviously a larger size, and the base of it, there's like a wide strip, almost like how a Polaroid would be. And I have 2 of these, and I don't know where they came from. They're on really thick paper. I guess they could be handmade or, you know, fan made, but I just don't think so. Because the photography is by Annie Leibovitz, I think is how you say her name. I don't think that, you know, it would have been something widely like Herbert Worthington would have, you know, wouldn't have offered them or something. But yeah, this is just a really cool little postcard. I think the other one I have, again, I brought it up a couple times, but doing a video on postcards, because I have these official ones and these odd ones that I'm not really sure. And then Herbert did come out with a whole bunch of postcard size, and then his 11 by 14 prints, which are kind of a segment on their own in one of my scrapbooks, but I just might also just do a video solely on the prints that Herbert put out and or the postcard things. But yeah, this is just a unique little piece of my collection. Mostly because I'm not sure where it came from. And then this, yeah, same part of the article. Next up, we have a really cool, again, these are some proof sheet shots. And again, these are much larger, as you can tell, and these are definitely not copies. But see, these are almost, again, I don't know where I put that 4x6, but this is like 4x4, I'd say, as is this one, again with Mary. This is the real like crown mark and writing on it for the 11 by 14, which I guess is going to be developed in that size. And this is this one for sure, and I'm guessing this one as well is by Richard Amos. And these are just, again, things I picked up over time. Then this was really cool for the Stevie Nicks very short-lived fan club, which I never got to be a part of. which would have been amazing because you got like a little card and stuff. Send $10, which, in 81 seemed like, king's ransom, probably like rent money or something. 2x2 color belladonna cover poster. So this here, see above. 2x3 color single sleeve poster, see above, which would have been this picture. Exclusive 8x10 picture of Stevie, a button, an exclusive button, an exclusive membership card with your name embossed on it. I mean, I would have been big shit then if I'd had that. A letter from Stevie welcoming you to her fan club, plus information about future plans of the club. Remember, exclusive means only you, as a member of this fan club, will receive these items. I've seen the card, but I don't think I've ever seen the honest to goodness, prints that got sent out. Like, I wonder what they were like. Are they like posters? They were folded up in kind of, 2x2 and 2x3. That's not very big. I've never seen what the button looked like, or what the 8x10 exclusive photo was. So I would love to know that. If you have any of that, if you're, I'd love to see that, or if you could tell me in the comments what it was, I would love to know. But yeah, I don't even, like, this wasn't even mine. This is, again, something that came in an assortment of clippings, again, acquired somewhere over time. I would have died. I would have loved to have been a part of that. Such is life. Next up, we have I put this page together somewhat recently, and this was really cool. This is a Japan print for belladonna. Then we have yet another one of those pictures that comes out super blue. This is just a copy. But then these are photographs. That is so funny how that blue turns out on camera. This should go back earlier with the earlier pictures, but it works. We're going to wrap up with a series that was called something like Berlin or something like that. A bunch of these have come out. A bunch of these have been available. I've seen them as 8x10s and stuff like that, but I will, again, this is an old page. And I remember when they first came out, I definitely copied these from the internet. And, again, I brought that up many times. That's not my style, but I about died. This one is a cutout from the Wild Heart Tour book. But then when the rest of these came out, I think this one I have now, which is funny. This one was released in a Japanese magazine, and I have that shot. And it's the full, which is probably why this is a copy of that. But these other ones, and I think this one is the same as, nope, it's not. It's different. But there's a series of like 8x10s, I think 3 of them, and it might be these 3 here. Came out, and they've changed hands a couple times. They first came out on eBay, and then somebody got them and they sold them, and I don't know who has them last, but a phenomenal photo session. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm so blessed because this was a copy of something, and I'm so glad that, I just happened on eBay to come across and see that it was a photo that got released in a magazine. So that I have, like, it's not 8x10, it's like, 8x6 or something like that. But actually, I need to find that because I don't know why it's not scrapbooked yet. I got it in the last couple of years, so it's probably just something I haven't gotten around to. Well, when these first came out, I had to have a copy of them somehow. And I hate right-clicking, and it's just for my scrapbook. But, somebody paid money for these, but they have been out and about, and just, again, a really cool photo session. And on that note, again, one of my many trips down to Southern California, and if you remember, I showed you that picture of Stevie live that I told you the whole story about my dad and stuff like that. The story isn't quite the same, but I remember finding this photo and just losing my freaking mind. Of course, later we would have an outtake of it that was used for the Reconsider Me single from the Enchanted box set, I'm pretty sure. But this photo is definitely an unseen jewel. And this is an original print, 11x14. And I love it with her necklace, for selling 3 million copies of belladonna. And this is, again, one of my absolute favorite photos, and I just could not believe it. When I found this and got it, if you haven't noticed, it's, when I say I lose my mind, that doesn't take much, but you know, I'm really super nerded out when I find really cool pictures. And this is a perfect example. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. Again, it's not often seen. There's another one of Stevie with the girls, and she's sitting on the edge of the couch with her legs kind of crossed. She's got the boots on. It's from the session. I don't know if I have that picture or not. It might be of friends, and again, I might ask permission to see if I can show it. And if I do, I'll pull it up and put all the other ones that go with this session to show you. Because the one of her on the couch with the girls, unless you had seen this one, you may not realize it had gone with the session, for example. But yeah, so this is a really cool picture, and we're going to close up this video with that picture, and starting off the next video with, again, a really rare jewel, not before seen. Some of my friends, some of you might have seen it, but definitely come back for that one next. And hope you enjoyed all this, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night. Bye.